And it's important to know what your range is at any given time. So how the early game works is you start the game with a range of a list of comps you want to end up at. In my opinion, your range shouldn't really be higher than 5 or 6, right? And it shouldn't really be lower than 2, ideally. Like, you can climb by forcing the same exact, like, comp or, you know, the same general idea every single game. But something between 2 and 6 is probably optimal, right? Right now, we entered the game with a range of basically 3, which is mages, warriors, and knights, although theoretically I could get pushed into assassins if the game tries hard enough. So let's say 3.5 is my range, right? And the way you want to play the early game, which is most notably the first 10 rounds, is by kind of like letting the game sequentially decrease your ranges based on what's happening. So right now, our range is, in my mind, down to 2. Like, we're not really on a good warrior start. Enough other people are going warriors. You know, warriors kind of want a good head start and like early level 2s to be good. And honestly, apart from it just not feeling great right now, I also just don't want to practice warriors right now. It's all about having a Coddle 2 and a CM3. Yeah, but, I mean, you've got enough time to get the Coddle 2, right? Mages need 9 for very fast Coddle Lich. I do think mages are level 9 dependent. I think I'll probably start going to... I feel like if I rush level 9 faster, it should be very easy to stabilize. If you don't find the Coddle 2 and CM2 in time, mages feel really bad. Yeah, but I did find them in time. What do you mean? I didn't need the Coddle 2 there. I don't think I even needed a CM2 there. I keep the 3 mages in a decent frontline until I can find a mage to switch to 6 mages. Yeah, and that's pretty much what we were thinking there. Made the most sense. Tusk is obviously the highest tier here to pick here. With tier 3 Ogre Magi early, you can do without the 3 warriors. Somewhat. I mean, the thing is, the 3 warrior comp not only requires level 9, but it means you can't be in Shadow Fiends, which feels bad to me. I don't like the 3 warrior frontline. It feels like it's not flexible enough. It does not feel like what a good player would typically do. I think, like, it's okay doing 2 warriors, especially if my tiny's going to level 3. There's nothing wrong with respecting 2 warriors in that spot. I could actually go for and change this over Batrider. Dude, I give, like, 0 respect to druids. I don't know. I mean, they win you early fights, but they don't keep options open, which I think is just bad. You need SF. Well, it's not even just the idea of SF exactly. It's just, like, flexible spots. Warriors... I mean, warriors are kind of a pair. 2 druids are better IMO. I think having, like, no committed frontline is better, right? I mean, so the initial thought is, okay, well, warriors need 3 to be a frontline, and I don't want to do that. Huh. Is Bruge actually better than Vit Booster? I've started not necessarily liking Vit Booster that much. I want more practice with mages. I wouldn't mind doing this. It's a good spot to take Drow and Pudge. It's a bit of a hard choice because we can double down on Batrider here. Drow Pudge is such a good opener for like winning early boards though, and it does keep you open to builds as well.
Someone wants
That's
to
tricky.
read,
I'm not necessarily decided yet. I mean, it's not as if I'm like disrespecting Knights by not building Batrider too aggressively. It's a pretty easy chainmail. So let's take a look at how these items impact what we're thinking about playing. Like, we took Brooch over what, Vit Booster? I don't know. Vit Booster seems so good on paper, but in reality it's not necessarily great. Warriors have to be worth it over Heartless. And I can't sell down here. I value benching these, so I want to do something kind of like this. There's a chance we could win if this guy has no 2 stars. Ah, he has a very similar board. He's got Tiny instead of Tusk, which is better. He's got better items, so we should win.
Basically 1/8 gay.
Yo, Togue Dude, welcome to the 1/8 Gay Club, man. No, 3 mages is not as good as 6 mages. It's a 60% increase. I'm pretty sure it's 3 mages is probably better than 6 mages. They're both different builds. 3 mages is probably more competitive, and most top players agree right now. Yeah, this guy's good here. It's pretty close. That's fine though. Heartless is -5 armor, Warriors is +5, Warriors is +10. So our board is looking pretty good right now. We've got the Slaughter to replace the shitty axe. We're getting Undead and Warrior online, and we're ready to start winning some early boards here. We could even sell out. Deciding whether to sell out or not, you have to think of a few different factors. It's mostly like how much you value your bench, right? And I actually kind of respect my bench right now. The most important thing is like I have pairs, right? Like what are we gonna sell? I want to keep the Tusk and even the pairs, because like pairing, you know, completing a set of ogres or clockworks is actually valuable next round, right? You know, we want to keep the Batrider to keep our knight options open, and just because it's a respectable early choice. So if we wanted to level up, we would have to have 3 gold here. The only thing I'm comfortable selling is honestly axe, and because we don't want to sell out here, we want to be able to, you know, play for the bench, and that's gonna delay our level here. That's okay. We don't mind that at all. Probably respect Bob more than Bloodseeker. I have 0 respect for Bloodseeker anymore. 3 mages is better with 4 knights than CC, right? Yeah, pretty much. Now this is a bit of a weird one. Now suddenly we can level up, or we could play for interest. I do like the ability to start winning some boards. I don't know. These boards are starting to suck, guys. It's kind of awkward. It's like, I think this is how you typically want to play lose streaks, which is, we have an okay board, and we're, like, I was ready to 2-star something there. I was open to it. I was keeping the probability as high as possible, but if I'm not going to 2-star something, I can't commit value onto my board right now. Now, this is interesting. We lost the first 2 games, but suddenly we won this one, even though we sold up to interest point, which is good. We get rewarded for getting to the interest point and playing properly. And we can even pair off these Witch Doctors, because an early Witch Doctor 2 is actually an okay thing. The question at this point is, how much do we want to start trying to play to win now? And the answer is probably enough. Not sure what build I actually wanted to go. Pairing Witch Doctors is pretty expensive. I think I could actually sell out of these. This is another weird situation. I don't know if I can actually do anything here. I think I want to just chill. What do you think about CM and non-mage build? I've thought about it. I've had dreams about it. Sometimes CM will come to me in my dreams, and I think there's some reality where some crazy combo does exist. Maybe I'll do some experimenting to try to find it.
Just like the old days.
Not sure what to do here. I'll just overflow until the game tells me. I want to like start kind of weaning off of warriors though. I've got a warrior problem. This guy's an assassin's warriors. This guy's like deep into knights. This guy's not sure what he's doing. A lot of people not sure what they're doing. They're keeping warrior knights open as usual. You mean Arc Warden comps? Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, CM is kind of experimental in a lot of things. There's a second Luna and a second Razor. I think at this point it's okay to lose streak and lower my range down from... So it's important to know what your range is at any given time. So how the early game works is you start the game with a range of a list of comps you want to end up at. In my opinion, your range shouldn't really be higher than 5 or 6, right? And it shouldn't really be lower than 2 ideally. Like, you can climb by forcing the same exact, like, comp or, you know, the same general idea every single game. But something between 2 and 6 is probably optimal, right? Right now, we entered the game with a range of basically 3, which is mages, warriors, and knights, although theoretically I could get pushed into assassins if the game tries hard enough. So let's say 3.5 is my range, right? And the way you want to play the early game, which is most notably the first 10 rounds, is by kind of, like, letting the game sequentially decrease your ranges based on what's happening. So right now, our range is in my mind, down to 2. Like, we're not really on a good warrior start. Enough other people are going warriors. You know, warriors kind of want a good head start and like early level 2s to be good. And honestly, apart from it just not feeling great right now, I also just don't want to practice warriors right now. So my range has been decreased to 2, which is mages and knights, and I'm okay lose streaking on both of these. Because it's good to have a range that actually supports each other, if that makes sense, right? Like, when you're lose streaking, your range wants to be in your lose streak builds, which like mages and knights are better at lose streaking than something like warriors, right? So for example, a few days ago, like 3 or 4 days ago, when we were climbing to Big Boss 4, which we didn't actually hit, but when we were climbing to Big Boss 4, our range was just warriors and hunters. And those complemented each other because, you know, you go either 6 warriors, 3 hunters, or 6 warriors, no hunters, or 3 warriors, 6 hunters, right? Those are the 3 builds that we were basically spamming at that time. And it worked together pretty nicely. We actually need, like, a board that does things here. Ooh, this is awkward. I'm talking a little too much. Ooh, yikes. I don't know if we're good here. Whatever. But basically, the idea is like having like 2 different things in your range that actually have a similar early game opener, so that you're gonna be good in your early game no matter what you're doing, is generally speaking a good idea. Oh, we tried, guys. Chainmail would have made it. I'm probably talking too much when I'm trying to climb. So here's hunters, warriors, knights. This guy's on knights. Fall from grace is pretty much a snap, and this will decrease our range further to, I think, just knights at this point. And that's kind of like how the first 10 rounds go. Like, this is a good example of how to play the first 10 rounds. It's like you enter the game with a range in your head of like, we had 3 comps here. We lowered that down to 2 at a certain point when we were lose streaking. We eliminated warriors, and now at 11, I feel comfortable eliminating mages based on the item we got on 10, right? We're still lose streaking, which is fine. Fall from grace is just like quite simply not really a mage item. Like, it's probably counterproductive towards mages. I know Gara has a hot take that Fall from Grace is actually bad in Knights. Apparently, I've heard this, Gara. You actually think Fall from Grace is bad in Knights? That's a hot take. That's a swim level hot take. Yo, Neodo3, welcome to the 180K club, man.